That's awfully nice. You're standing and you haven't even heard what I got to say yet, so I appreciate that. I don't know if you'll feel that way at the end. We'll see. We'll see. The end is always the real sign, whether or not it goes well. All right. I told Father Altman just a moment ago, I said, you're going to have to ask your adoring fans to sit down so I can speak a little bit here. And he just looked at me and he said, who are you? So I'm your friend. I'm very fortunate. I knew Father Altman years ago. He had invited me to his parish out in La Crosse, but also a previous parish he was at. So I've known him for years. And the great thing about this, I know you all get to know him, and some of you know him well personally, is that he's always been this way. This is nothing new for him. You know, he's an example of what's going on in our culture, though. You know, we talk about cancel culture. Cancel culture is actually something that goes way back to the time of Christ, right? We know this. They tried to cancel the truth of our Lord. This goes back before Christ. They tried to cancel all the prophets, right? They tried to cancel the truth. This is diabolical. It's demonic. We all know this. So this is something that we have to look at through that type of lens, that this isn't new. It's just the way it's manifesting in our time, and it's manifesting in a way that's really shaking us up in different ways maybe we never thought we'd be hit with. And so we do need to be thinking about, as we've talked all day, about being better prepared and really looking at what we need to do. Now, my approach on this is going to be very direct, and it's going to be something that doesn't make, look, this makes a lot of people uncomfortable when I address certain subjects on this, around this topic, because a lot of guys are comfortable. We don't want to be uncomfortable. Face it, look at the cars we have. All right, you've got heated seats. You've got fans in your seats, a little circulation under your backside there. All right, you've got climate control between your spouse and you. All right, you can adjust it per degree. Right? My wife can be over here and have 72 degrees, and I can put it at 71 degrees. You're sitting next to each other. But somehow, that little space there, you know, okay, you get what I'm going here? How about this? Sleep number beds. Okay, we got our, I'm not knocking all these things. We got the sleep number bed, we got the lazy boy recliner, we got smart houses. We can, let me see, what is it? I don't have it. It's Siri, or what is the, Alexa? Alexa, thank you. Alexa, what's the temperature in Pakistan right now? And she'll tell you. We don't have to get off the couch. Can we change the TV channel by telling what channel we want on? We become so comfortable and so soft, it has become detrimental to us. What Father Altman said about the fact that we need to be spiritually prepping, absolutely. I'm not going to have to cover that now. He covered that. But everything that Father Altman said, sign on the left. I'm going to make that clear, because I'm going to hit you with some other stuff. And people always come up after this type of talk, a lot of times I should say, and I get emails on it, comments on Facebook, you name it, always trying to find some way to twist and say, no, Doug, it's only about the spiritual. Okay, the body's got nothing to do with this. You have to worry about that so much, which is interesting, because y'all got up and we all ate lunch, right? And we've got those porta potties over there for a reason, right? Because there's a physical component to us that cannot be denied. And it cannot be denied when it comes to confronting evil. All right, but this is the area when it comes to the super holy, I like to call them. Those out there who've reached this point where they'll quote this saint or that saint that says that the body doesn't need to be paid attention to at all. So I'm going to worry about this physical aspect of the times that we're living in. And so let's just not talk about this. So I'll put points out there about the physical side, whether it's prepping of some sort or physical training or whatever it may be. Yeah, but Doug, no, it's just the soul. So my sign on the left, imagine I got an easel here, and there's a sign on the easel. And the sign says 24/7, 365, we are in the thick of spiritual battle. The attacks come from the world, the flesh, and the devil. It cannot be denied. It's the most important thing. When we die, we'll stand before God based on what our state of our soul is in. That's all right there. No questions about it. But we are physical beings as well. And there's not one of us in this tent right now who would deny that what happened in the Holocaust in Germany during World War II was beyond atrocious, beyond tragic. The Armenian Genocide in the early 1900s during World War I, where 1.5 million Armenians and several thousand others were also killed. Or the Rwandan Genocide in 94, where in 90 days, nearly 1 million people were slaughtered, and almost 500,000 estimated women and girls as young as 8 to as old as 80 were raped. And people are going to say you don't have to pay attention to the physical aspect of evil. It is so distorted. The super holy. I'm not busting on anybody if that's you, but this is a real pet peeve of mine. I just cannot for the life of me imagine any good man here, and you're good men or you wouldn't be here. Some of you traveled a long distance to get here. All right, someone's here from Thailand, I think. Was that Thailand? Maybe not Thailand. California at least. I mean, we got California, we got Florida, we got Washington, we got Texas, at least myself. We're all over the country. We're here from all these places. You're good men, I know that. And I'm willing to bet that there's not one of you here that if someone kicked in the door of your house and your wife or kids were being threatened, you wouldn't go through a wall to try to protect and save your wife and kids. That's our job as men. God has given us a position of authority, and the demons know this, and the demons fear when a man is on point, taking care of that authority that God has put him in. And authority exists for two main reasons, right? It exists for two main reasons: to provide and to protect. God puts us in a position of authority as fathers, as husbands, as men in general, with a certain DNA in us. Before I get into a little bit about the DNA, let's talk about the authority and the position that we're in as men. There's a woman on the other end of this ring. Now, I just took a picture of you all right before I came up here, and I sent it to my wife. And I do this most of the time when I get up and speak publicly. And I sent this to her. I texted it to her. This is amazing, because when I started doing this work 31 years ago, I was stopping at gas stations on the road, getting out of the van, calling on a payphone. Will you accept the charges, ma'am? Yes, I will. Hi, honey, it's me. I'm on the road somewhere in Iowa. I don't know. It's dark. I'll be home, I don't know, in a few hours, I think, all right? And then they came up with the car phone. Remember the car phones, the first ones? Big cases. You had to lift weights so you could carry it in and out of the car, right? Then they got a little bit smaller, and now we got all this kind of stuff. And it's great. It can be distracting. Of course, we have to take care of it, and not let it take care of us. I sent her this picture, and I said, hitting the beach now. Now, I've been sending her this statement for years, hitting the beach now. And she knows what that means. And it's not, I'm hitting the beach now. I got my feet up, got a little umbrella drink over here on my side. She responds, Ave Maria, exclamation point. Now, the reason I tell you that is because my wife is helping to fight this battle in Texas. She's praying for us right now. As my friend says, Tom Sullivan, who former military down in Florida, Hudson, Florida, he's a producer and IT guy for John at Bankovic for years and does a lot of work, in ministry work, designed the Warriors Rosary. It's a great rosary. Kind of competes with the Combat Rosary from Father Heilman, who's a good friend of mine, so I don't talk much about it. Anyway, I have both of them, okay? I got a lot of both of them. But Tom Sullivan says, my wife is my little sniper. When I'm out in the field working, I'm engaging in the battle, my wife's at home, and her prayers are like a little sniper, just from the high ground, just keeping me safe while I'm down there in the thick of the battlefield. That's our relationship with our spouse. Do you realize that Adam and Eve, when Eve was created, the creation story, God says it's not good for Adam to be alone, right? So we're going to make him a helper, and boom, from the rib comes Eve, and when Adam woke up from that sleep, his response was probably, oh, man, what in the world? Whoa! Ooh. And know what he says? What does he say? Finally, after all the creation that has been brought to him, and he's been able to name all these animals, he says, finally, this one is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. This one's different. But you know what the Greek says she is to Adam? Ezer Kenegdo. Do you know what Ezer Kenegdo means? Essentially, battle partner. That's what it means. Battle partner. Your wife is your battle partner. You're the spiritual head of the home, men. We are. My wife is the spiritual heart of the home. And it takes the head and the heart for the body to move. She's my battle partner. She's praying for me, fasting for me, sacrificing for me there. So this goes well, for at least from the position that I'm in, to present this presentation to you. Convey this message. Our wives are our battle partners. The demons know this because they know what authority is. They know the order of things. As one exorcist puts it, demons are lawyers from hell. That's not a bust on a lawyer, if anybody any lawyers here. But they're lawyers from hell. They know the law. They know that a priest, whether it's Father Altman, any priest here, they know that they have the authority to cast out, to bind, to crush them, because it is a person of Christ. But they also know that we husbands and fathers have authority. We all have authority, by the way, over our own souls. Men, women, young, old. Authority over your own soul. We need to claim that authority. In the name of Jesus, I claim authority over the soul that God has given me, my own soul, and I renounce, reject, and rebuke any evil spirits. Name the evil spirit. I renounce them. I reject them. I rebuke them. Get away from me. Get away from me now. It has a great card, the chaos card, and it's a great little prayer on the back that essentially does this. It essentially says, look, any demons attacking me personally in my own soul, and I've done this. I do it regularly. Driving out here, I was doing it. This morning when I was coming out here. In the name of Jesus, binding any evil spirits that are attacking my soul. I also do it for my wife. Gentlemen, when I said to you, if someone kicks in your front door, are you going to go with that bad guy that comes in? The woman on the other end of this ring is counting on me to protect and defend her, spiritually and physically. That authority means to provide and to protect. I need to provide for her, absolutely. Make sure she's got a roof over the head. She's got a house that's safe to live in. She's got water, food, the whole 9 yards. But boy, spiritually speaking, I need to be fighting this fight for her every single moment of my life. But physically, I need to be fighting it too. I need to be prepared to protect her and defend her physically as well as spiritually. And this is an area where I think a lot of us are slipping. Now, in light, I'll kind of lay that down there. Before I get to this piece over here, let's go in the middle here. The DNA. What's your DNA? I say the DNA that each and every one of us men has today is no different at all from the DNA of King David. Why? Because we're biological men. So is he. And that day that David comes up on the battlefield, and he's bringing food and the things that his dad told him to go do, take this food, take it to your brothers. He's got some brothers engaged in the battle. You got the Philistines over here, right? And you got the Israelite army over here. And for 40 days, there's this behemoth, this 6 cubits in a span giant, Goliath, which translates to an estimated 9 foot 9 inches approximately tall. That's roughly what 6 cubits in a span translates to. This guy's a battle-hardened warrior. Okay, Goliath is nothing to sneeze at. Goliath is out there for 40 days. He does it twice a day, morning and later in the day. He's beating on his breastplate. By the way, the weight of his breastplate just the breastplate translates to approximately 90 pounds, 90. Anybody had body armor? You military guys, I got body armor. You put that on, you work out with my body armor on sometimes. It's a good, 15, 20, 25 pounds, depending on your set, whatever you're set out in. 90-pound breastplate alone. And he's out there twice a day, beat the breastplate, give me someone. We'll go man to man. Whoever wins, we dominate the other army. Basically what it was. David shows up. Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? And his brother's like, what are you doing here, man? Brother's getting on him. You're just here because you want to see what's going on, man. Why don't you go back? Who's taking care of the flocks right now? Well, Dad told me to come. No, just in the midst of the conversation, David hears that Goliath is out there mouthing off. And Goliath is making fun of God's army. That's a key part here. And David, this young shepherd boy, is looking at this, hearing this, going, well, what's going on? Is anybody going to go out there? Say, well, no, everybody's, the guys back here going, you're going to go? I don't know. You're going to go? I don't know. This guy's pretty big. Yeah, I know. Hear what he's saying? I hear what he's saying. Okay, we're faithful soldiers, but I ain't going against that guy. He's mocking God. He's mocking God's army. You know what? I haven't felt like God's prompting me to go out there just yet. Then the shepherd boy shows up. Hey, what does the guy get who goes out there? He's going to be made rich, and he gets the king's daughter. Now, first thing you might think David might ask is she cute? Is she attractive? What are we talking about here? But basically, he's told what the reward's going to be from Saul, whoever goes out and fights Goliath. Finally, David says, I'll do it. That DNA in David is the same in you and me. But there's something different between David, what's going on here, and what's going on in you and me. I'll do it. So Saul says, here, let's put the armor on you. David says, I can't wear that. I haven't trained in that. I don't know the armor like that, but I know what I can do because I have trained in what I can do. Far too many people look at the David and Goliath story. Oh, David just trusted God and God took care of it. And that's where a lot of people are today, I think. We're just going to trust Jesus. He'll take care of it. Don't need to do anything. Jesus can take care of it. There's signs all over Tyler, Texas area. I drive around down there and someone started doing this, some Protestant church, signs up there that says God is in control. God is in control. What does that mean for us? Does that make you feel like you don't have to do anything then? There's a meme out there I saw on social media that says, God may be in charge, but that doesn't mean he wants you to lean on a shovel and expect a hole to show up in the ground. If God is in control, then we don't have to worry about the election. If God's in control, we don't have to worry about abortion. What are you doing praying to stop it? What are you doing standing out in front of the abortion mills? We don't need to do that. If God's in control, he'll just take care of it. Or this is another one too. We know who wins in the end. I have never doubted who wins in the end. That is not what's a question. It's all the collateral damage along the way. It's all the chaos along the way that's going to take place before God does make clear who wins in the end. This is this sort of thing we need to be thinking about more. What's our part in these times when it comes to what's happening? So go back to David here. So David walks out there on the battlefield. Actually, it's great what he says to Goliath. He says, what he says to Saul. He says to Saul, I can take him on. He's your shepherd boy. He's a warrior. He says, look, when lions and bears have come to attack my flock, I kill them with my hands. Lions and bears. He's roughly a teenage kid. He says, I know how to kill them. When they come to hurt me, I do the same thing. He says, I will do the same thing to this uncircumcised Philistine I will take him out. So finally, when he gets on the battlefield, Goliath comes out. And Goliath is mocking, who is this? Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? I'm going to kill you and leave your flesh here for the birds of the air, the beasts of the land. Little teenage boy looks at Goliath and says, I don't think so. I'm going to do that to you. I'm going to leave your flesh for the beasts of the land, the birds of the air, and I'm going to do it to the Philistine army. So he ramps it up. He antes it up a little bit. Imagine Goliath. Oh, imagine the guys, the Philistines back there looking down. Oh, this is going to be fun. Watch this. This will be entertaining. There's a big old beast and a little kid there, right? Oh, look, he's picking up a rock. Ooh, he's going to throw a rock. Oh, he put it in his little slingshot. Ooh, he's swinging it, right? Oh, look at this. Oh, he threw it. Oh, he hit it. Oh, he hits a good shot. Oh, whoa, he's going down. Oh, wait, Goliath is down. Goliath, get up, man, get up. And David, after he hits him in the head, and it states in Scripture that it embedded the stone in his brow. Talk about knowing where to place a shot. All right, it's a kill shot. All right, boom, Goliath is down. David doesn't stop there. David didn't stop there. He didn't go, all right, see, he's down, we win. No. As soon as he releases the stone, that's move one. All right, anybody self-defense or martial arts or law enforcement, military, you know it's like, here's my first move. Now we're moving in on move 2, 3, 4, and 5. So David releases the stone, and then he's moving towards him. Boom, drops him in the head. You got to think David's already moving. He's coming on him. Goliath's hitting the ground. David pounces on him. What's he do? He draws Goliath's own sword. Talk about adding insult to injury. This is going to kill. He's going to cut his head off now with the sword of his enemy that he just dropped with a rock to the head. You can almost imagine him looking at the Philistines on that hillside, raising it up. I mean, wouldn't you do that? Just to rub it in? You wouldn't say, hey, your mom, I'm going to turn away. I'm going to cut this guy's head off. You'd be like, you want to check this out, don't you? There it is. Holds it up as if to say, who's next? He carries the head back. He actually takes it into the tent later when he sees Saul. This teenage boy. Is he any different than you and me biologically? No, he's not. He's the same. DNA is the same. What's the difference? The difference is what's going on in here and in here. A lot of what Father Altman and Michael have been talking about today too. Our dedication and commitment to the truth. Our dedication and commitment to God. Where is it? If it is there, then we will respond accordingly. Based on our circumstances, the chapter of life, what's going on around us. But the bottom line is this, that I'm getting at on this particular story, is what did David do far in advance before this moment even happened? What was he doing to deal with the lions and the bears? He was training. He was not sitting around on his lazy boy. In fact, later on, we know what happens when he does sit around on the lazy boy. In the time of year when all the armies are off fighting battle and the king should be off with them, he decides to take a little siesta. He's got his feet up on the couch there in the autumn, and he's looking out the window. Ooh, who's the good-looking girl on the rooftop bathing? Rule of thumb, tell your ladies in your lives, don't bathe on an open rooftop, okay? That's rule of thumb. But he sees Bathsheba bathing, right? So when David goes to the comfort category of his life, that's when he drops his guard. And when he drops his guard, boom, he's hit. And the lust hits him, and then he engages in adultery, and then eventually, we know the story, he sets up the death of Uriah, her husband, puts him out. I mean, talk about a cold-blooded situation. All right, he sets up the death of Uriah by saying, I want Uriah placed in the front of the battle, and then at a certain point, I want y'all to pull back, leave him out there. Now, imagine who he told that to? Looking at him thinking, are you sure about this? This isn't going to go well, especially if the news gets a hold of it. But what happens? He sets up, after adultery, he sets up a murder. And finally, Nathan comes to him and he says, hey, there's this thing about a guy and some sheep. He's got these sheep, he's got one sheep. And this guy took this one guy's sheep. And David says, bring him to me. There will be justice. And Nathan says, it's you. And David humbles his heart and he begs mercy and he's forgiven. And who does God say is the only man in the history of Scripture is a man after God's own heart? David. And David's a warrior. He's a sinner, yes, but he repents. He's a humble sinner, comes back, repents, right? But he's a warrior. Are you and I that kind of man? Are you and I that kind of warrior? You come to an event like this, and a lot of you came from all over the place. You come to an event like this, what are you hoping to get when you leave? I always figure I'm not doing my job if I don't in some way try to at least lay down a message. It's challenging and encouraging, yes, both, challenging and encouraging. Never belittling. I don't ever want to belittle. Don't ever want to degrade, right? I love healthy competition among men. I don't like it for the sake of degrading and demoralizing. I think that's ridiculous, especially when it comes to the stuff we're talking about right now in our world. We need to build each other up. So when it comes to competition among one another, let's do it in a way that, a little fun jab, right? Like I'm 56, right? So I'll train with guys that are 20 years, 30 years younger than me, and I'd be in the weight room or doing some drill or something. And I've been lifting weights since I was 12, so I've got like 44 years of weightlifting in my life. So I will bust on these guys who are 20, 30 years younger than me. And when they're burning out, we're going to knock out like 30 reps of some dumbbell curls, okay? 30 reps. They're at rep 7. And I tell one guy, I said, you're crying out like a little girl here. At least I'd say that, but that'd be an insult to a little girl. So I don't want to say that. So he's a good friend of mine, but I give him a hard time. I say, Steve, come on, man. You're 20 years younger than me, man. Come on, let's go. And he's like, Doug, come on, I know. But the point I'm getting at is I encourage this young man because he wants to be a warrior. He wants to have the mindset of a King David. I want that. We should all want that. Instead, we got our sleep number beds and our lazy boy recliners and our air-conditioned chair seats and our heated seats and all that. And I know those might be good when you got a little rheumatoid arthritis running down the backside there. You got that disc that you slipped, But here's the other part of the problem. Some guys get to the age of 20, 30, 40, and they're already talking about their glory days. Oh, man, you wouldn't want to mess with me when I was 18 on the football field, man. I would smoke you. On the basketball court, man, I'd be draining threes over your head all day long. How old were you when you did that? I was 18. How old are you now? 27. You can't even get off the couch now. Got guys in their 20s and 30s watching Rambo movies thinking, I could do that. I could be Rambo. It's like, you can't even run around your couch. I'm not making fun of people. I'm trying to encourage you. Like, I'm 56. I have bone on this knee. Knee doctor looked at my knee and he said, you're going to need a total knee replacement. I said, when? He said, soon. That was over a year ago. He said, you're not going to work out anymore. You're going to squat. You're going to deadlift. You're going to do that stuff anymore. I said, no, I'm going to do that stuff. And I still do. Yeah, I have to modify it. Yes, I have to moderate it. Because the goal is not the macho machismo attitude. That's not what I'm going for here, guys. It's not about how strong I am because I want to feel strong. It's not my numbers anymore. It's like a diabolical fly right here for some reason. I'm going to do a Karate Kid here and catch him. But I want to encourage you guys to get in shape. Sign on the left, spiritual, absolutely 100%. It's a little bit different for each person depending upon your circumstances in life. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not degrading or belittling anybody. What I'm saying is this, though. If someone comes through the door tonight in your house, if you're there or whenever, and your wife is at threat or your kids are at threat or your grandkids are at threat, are you ready to go? Now, some people say, yeah, because, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. The size of the fight in the dog. Well, I agree with that. It's a lot better if there's a lot of fight in that dog and the dog knows how to fight. I was at a men's conference one time. I've asked this question all the time, and I did it publicly at a men's conference, about 1,000 guys in the room. It's up in Indiana, I think, several years back. I said, guys, would you fight for your wife and your kids? Would you fight for your wife? Tell me if you'd fight. Yell it out. Yeah, we'd fight. I can't hear you. Yeah, we'd fight for my wife. You fight for your wife? Yeah. Would you die for your wife? Yeah, die for my wife. Yeah, that's awesome. What happens to your wife after you're dead? And they all went, oh. And the bad guy's still there. Oh, yeah. So I said, so what's the answer? No one said anything. And in the back of the room, a kid yells out, learn how to fight. Yeah, learn how to fight. Spiritually, sign on the left. If we're not praying a rosary every day, we're not wrapped up in the brown scapular of our Blessed Mother, we're not using holy water, blessed salt around the perimeter, we don't got the Benedict medals buried in the ground or hanging on the walls. That table back there on the right, I don't know whether there should be nothing on that table left when you guys leave today. Right? He didn't ask me to say that either. He's back to going, yeah, all right. There's all kinds of St. Benedict stuff on there. St. Benedict's medal, that's right. It's on my crucifix right here, along with the miraculous medal and the brown scapular. Shield of our Blessed Mother. All right, shield of our Blessed Mother. Look, when I'm 85, 90, 75, whatever it is, yeah, I know physically I'm not going to be the same. I know that's going to happen sooner or later. As the saying goes, eventually we all end up looking like melted cheese. Okay? I know, it's kind of that's harsh. That's going to leave a mark, yeah. I know, it's like, I don't like that one. Even Jack Lalanne died, right? He was 96 when he died, I think. He died of respiratory issues. It was like 30 some years ago. They've now marked it as a COVID death. But anyway, they went back and found it, before it came out of the lab in Wuhan. Anyway, Jack Lalanne used to say, I can't die, it'll ruin my reputation, but he ends up dying. The day he died, he was exercising, though. It's about quality of life. Not that you're going to live forever. It's quality of life, right? I got several little grandchildren. I want to throw them up in the air. I want the shoulders to work as I do it, right? But we get to our glory days, 20s, 30s, 40s, we start going, that was back then. I'm not putting you down, guys. I'm not. I love you like brothers. I do. I want to encourage you. Get ready. Get ready because the long haul is just to be there for your family. Get ready for the long haul to be there for your family, but also get ready because if this storm really that we see unfolding, it's not coming, it's here. And as it ramps up and continues to grow, vaccination passports now. Sure about the high school prom on the East Coast recently, a couple days back? The unvaccinated kids, they marked with a black Sharpie marker on their hands, they numbered them, and then every 3 songs or so, they had to raise their hands so they could track them throughout the dance. This is not a joke. How about the church in Oregon? And there are many others doing this. Someone sent me a comment on this. I posted something on social media going after this vaccine passport garbage, which some of us have been talking about this for a long time. You know this is coming. Oh, they're never going to do that. Are you kidding? Well, Biden said he's not going to do that. Well, he doesn't have to if he's working the backdoor deal with the companies and the church, because now the churches are doing it. And I'm not trying to put anybody down, but it's a fact. It's come out in the news that even Cardinal Supich in the Chicago Archdiocese says that if you come to church and you don't have a mask on, you need to show your proof of vaccination to the usher. In Oregon, a woman sent me a piece of, a diagram of what their church is doing. To the left, like the 2/3 of the section is green. It's green, by the way, for the vaccinated, unmasked people. And over here on the other side is the kind of yellowish color for those who are not vaccinated and have to wear masks and still social distance. So they're segregating in churches. Governor Inslee in Washington said he wants that done in sporting events and in church events and other public events. He is encouraging segregation to the point of even using different entrances and exits for the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And still people sit there and go, I don't know. They just want to get back to normal. We're still trying to flatten a curve, right? You know this, all right? So we're looking at this and we're thinking, and then people make relation to the Star of David sewed on the clothing of the Jews back in World War II. Oh, no, that's too extreme. You can't do that. Are you kidding me? There are people driving around, and we know this. Father Altman's mentioned it. People driving around with a mask on in their car alone. Right? And I feel sorry for them. I know you want to go, come on, you dummy, what are you doing? I don't want to do that. I want to say there's some sort of neurosis going on here. If we are so afraid that we are outside walking down a sidewalk thinking this is just in the air that I have to have a mask on, even when the facts come out that Fauci lied in an email saying virus in general is too small and it will pass easily through the fibers of the mask that you buy from a drugstore or a store somewhere. He admits this, and still our people in this country and around the world are saying, well, you know. Now on top of that, you've got the Great Reset coming. Not coming. It's unfolding. If you haven't heard of the Great Reset, just do a search for it. Klaus Schwab, head of the World Economic Forum, he's been very open about it. We need to reset the world. He's excited about what he calls the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You know what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is? It's the fusion of AI, artificial intelligence, and human, to the point where you can't even decipher the difference between the two. They are pushing for this manipulation of our human dignity and our human bodies. And they've succeeded on many levels now. The fact that we have to have parents stand up in school board meetings and say, stop making my kid in 2nd grade or kindergarten wear a mask, and they just laugh them off half the time. We are so far behind on this game, in this battle. And now we got critical race theory. That's another one, critical race theory, shoving this down our throats. I bump into guys all over. Usually it's a military guy comes up, a guy in Shreveport. I was at a conference about 2 months ago. A guy in Shreveport comes up and he says, I got to tell you this off the record. Yeah, what's that? That's why I'm not going to tell you his name or what is Jim Smith? No, I'm kidding. He comes up and he says, look, I've been in the Air Force 12 years. I said, what's your job? He says, I'm a pilot. What do you fly? B-52 bombers. Okay, so you're not an idiot. Fly B-52 bomber. He's a smart guy. And he says, yeah, I can tell you right now, they're indoctrinating us whole day, a session, and pretty much it's 80% is white people bad. And he said, any other military could acknowledge that sort of thing going on? They're weeding out. They're moving through. And he says, if I reject it, if I speak out against it, he says, they'll fire me. He says, I'm looking for places where I can go with my wife and kids because I see what's coming. I see the writing on the wall. And he says, I'm trying to find people I can build alliances with, which we're going to get to in a minute. He says, this is happening. He says, what I'm talking to you about right now, he says, if I was in my office and my superiors around, I'd be fired or I'd be thrown in jail, he said. That's how thick the pressure is getting. Now, this is a very safe environment. We're on 170 acres hidden somewhere in Wisconsin. None of us even knows where it is. It's so hidden. I mean, it's great out here, right? It's great. But when we go back into town, you go back into the day-to-day, yeah, you know you run into this stuff. We go back in, as Michael was saying earlier, you go back into even your family gatherings, and we're having a hard time standing in front of grandma for this kind of stuff. I get it, it's hard. Most of my family doesn't talk to me anymore. Right? They don't even have to hear me talk anymore. They just go to my Facebook page. Right? And I got in a back and forth debate with one of my niece-in-laws over some stuff. And I'm thinking, what are you not seeing here? Now they're doing all these giveaways to get us to get the vaccine. They're giving away guns. I think in Virginia, it's like 5 new shotguns. Right? I'm thinking, okay, well, My wife looks at me, don't even think about it. Number one, you don't need any more. It's like, oh no, I lost them all in a boating accident. I don't know. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. But they're giving away guns. They're doing lotteries. They're giving away tickets to strip clubs. I heard last night, someone was telling me. Yeah, I mean, they're giving free drinks. They're giving $1,000 student aid financially to some students in some colleges, and they're making it mandatory in other colleges. If this really was such a pandemic and it was so bad, we'd see bodies lining up on the streets. But we're not. We know they've lied about the numbers. Alameda County out in California recently came out and said, we got to lower our numbers by 25% of the death toll of COVID because we're looking at it differently now. And we don't think all these people actually died from COVID. I mean, this guy did fall off a ladder. Maybe that had something to do with it. I mean, we've heard of the stories, right? You've heard them. This guy who died from a gunshot, and they put it down as a COVID death. Dr. Scott Jensen came out publicly and stated this out of Minnesota. Some of you Minnesotans here? All right, Dr. Scott Jensen, he's running for governor and all. He came out back, when the whole thing started in 2019, he came out on Laura Ingraham and he said, yeah, CDC's pressuring me to change how I code people when they die. He said, I've never seen this as a doctor in all my years, never. And then he comes out, man, it's a demonic fly. Yeah. Then he comes out it was right around 4th of July last year, he comes out and he states, and he looked very nervous in the video, very nervous, and he says, they're going after me, they're trying to take my medical license away. And he says, we're in a very bad place in this country. If they'll do that to me in all my years of medical work, he says, they can do it to anybody. They're silencing them here and there. They're bribing us or shaming us if we don't get a vaccine. All this is going on. We see just that one little piece. Then there's BLM. Then there's Antifa. And there's critical race theory. And there's defund the police. And there's all of this is happening. We're seeing it in the church and in our society. And my question is, you still feeling okay about just remaining comfortable? There's a great quote from a movie. It's a terrible movie. It's about Genghis Khan. It's called The Conqueror. And they cast John Wayne to play Genghis Khan. Remember this one? Oh, it's hilarious. Like, oh, Pilgrim, I think we're going to take over China. It just doesn't work. It's a bit humorous to watch. I saw it years ago, but there's a great line in it. There's a great line. At one point, if I remember the scenario, if I'm not mistaken, Genghis Khan, he shows up at a village somewhere. He's about to overrun the next day, and the elder from the village comes out to try to make peace. Oh, please, no. Don't kill us all. This wouldn't be good for us, okay? So how about we bargain? Come on in and relax, and we'll give you the wine, the women, the song. We'll give you comfort. We'll make you... And someone in the scene, it's either Genghis Khan or his wife, one of them says, no, the men will stay out here and they will sleep on the ground because if they go in, they will become too comfortable. And if they get comfortable, they will get soft. And if they get soft, they will become weak. And if they get weak, they won't be able to fight. And if they can't fight, they will die. You can take that spiritually and physically. You get too comfortable, you're going to die. And that's what's happening to us. Now, the government has done what to us lately now? We don't want you to work jobs, so, because we had to shut businesses down because this was so bad. So we're going to give you more money than you would make working a job. And everywhere I go, I see this. My buddy who runs a little restaurant down in Louisiana in Lafayette, to my friend of mine who runs a dry cleaning outfit out in New Mexico. Anywhere you go, I'm hearing these guys say, I can't find anybody to work. Burger King is offering signing bonus. No joke. Burger King. Signing bonus. Recently, I was in New Mexico working with my son and I. We have a production company. I'm going to talk about that briefly in a moment here. Battle Ready Coalition Productions is this thing we've started. It's a film company. Battle Ready Coalition is an online membership that we have as well. By the way, back there, I didn't even think about this in advance. Father Kevin, could you do me a favor? There's a plastic bag right down there by my backpack. Could you use a little plastic bag with like a little, anybody see it down there at the end of the table? Could someone look for that for me, please? Oh, thanks, Adam. Little plastic bag. It's got some papers and some CDs and DVDs in it. That's it, yeah. Yeah, Adam, yeah. Could you open that up? There's some sheets of paper in there. Should be a few hundred. Could you just pass those out around among the guys as I talk about this here? Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that. So we started this production company, Battle Ready Coalition Productions. It's a film company now. We're still working on a documentary. And I'll talk about that more in just a moment. We also have an online training membership that we have. It's a monthly membership training thing. I want you guys, you're going to get a sheet of paper. It's going to be option to go look at it, see if you're interested in signing up and joining us. We also have a battle ready emergency preparedness course. It's a one-time purchase course that goes through a lot of what I'm about to talk about in just a minute here. I want to lay that down because that's what they're going to hand out. But my son and I were down in New Mexico for the last several days working with a couple of guys, Jesse Romero, one of them, and another guy, Dan Schneider, doing a lot for some different programs that we're doing on spiritual deliverance and a lot of these types of things. The last night we were there, Dan says, hey, I want to take you guys to a restaurant. We go in the restaurant, we walk in, and he says, I know the guy is ex-military, great friend of mine, because Dan's ex-military. He flew Cobra attack helicopters in the first Gulf War. Okay, so we walk in there, and Dan says, hey, this is so-and-so, my friend here, and the guy's manager of the restaurant. Great little restaurant, little Mexican restaurant. I say, hey, good to meet you. And the guy looked a little ticked off. I said, everything okay? And he says, yeah, I just had my dishwasher walk out. Why? 19-year-old kid said the work was too hard. Couldn't handle it. He's going to leave. Okay, and the reason I go through all that to get to that point is it's happening everywhere. We get comfortable. We don't even want to work a job washing dishes. And you know what? We don't have to. Why? Because if I file the right paperwork, the government's going to pay me more money from them to not work. Make them soft by making them comfortable. Comfort isn't bad. I like comfort as well as you guys do. On a hot day, I like a cold glass of water, right? Like cold beer at the end of days too. I'm fine with that. Every day of my life, except Sunday. Sunday's optional since it's a mini Easter. Every other day of my life, I do something physically, mentally, spiritually to make myself uncomfortable. The church gives us rules for fasting and mortification. Why? Because it keeps us on our toes. It keeps us sharp. Had a buddy of mine, spent 33 years in the Navy, EOD, Navy EOD. And my buddy would come, when he'd come into town on leave, he'd come and hang out for a while at times. And one time I said, hey, I'm going to break out the ice cream. We're big on mint chocolate chip ice cream. One of those things you have with a friend, right? Right, mint chocolate chip, in high school. Yeah, man, break out the mint. We'd each get a half gallon and snarf it down in one night, right? That kind of thing. Just some stupid fun stuff. So I break out the ice cream. He says, no, I can't. I'm leaving in 2 days, deployed, going back to the Middle East. He says, I want to be ready. He says, I got to keep the edge sharp. So even ice cream he wasn't going to go for. Now, that was his thing. That was his deal. But my point is this. What are you doing today to keep yourself sharp and ready to go for what might happen today or tomorrow or the next day? Now, if any of you were thinking, yeah, you know what, Doug, that's great and all, but I'm older, I got the pain, I got this, I got that. Yeah, bone on bone knee right here. That's what they told me. You won't run, you won't squat, I'm still doing it all, right? That's not like a big pat on the back. Does it hurt? Yes. Does it hurt all the time? Yes, yes. What did I do with it? I gave this knee to one of my kids. And here's something I want you all to think about. You got pains and aches and so forth. I made in a prayer, I said to the Lord, Lord, this particular child gets this knee. And every time it hurts, whether I'm thinking it consciously or not, please let me offer it up as a sacrifice for that child of mine. This knee is a torn ACL, right? About a year ago. Didn't get it fixed, couldn't afford to get it fixed surgery-wise. We'll see him training with it, working out with it. So far, so good. All right, try to train it, rehab it the right way, and it's doing pretty good, right? Another child gets that one. This shoulder or this pinched nerve or that's something in the thumb that never healed from that construction job 40 years ago, guys. You get those types of things, give it to a family member. Give it to those that God has entrusted to your care. Make it a sacrifice. And then don't complain about the pain. Just say, thank you, Lord Jesus. I'm turning over to you. You know who's really driven crazy by that? The enemy below. You want to drive the demons crazy? Offer it up. As men, we like to talk about how tough we are, right? We like to rough it. Right? Until we get in our air-conditioned car or our heated seats or our lazy boy recliner or our sleep number bed or our smart house. Until then, we like to rough it. Right? I say rough it a little bit every day. Anybody hear of Exodus 90, I think is what it's called? Yeah, I say let's make it Exodus 365. Exodus 90 is fasting and prayer and cold showers and so forth and sacrifices for 90 days. It's a way to really get you back on track. I say do it regularly. Why? Because the world needs men who are more in line with what a King David was than what we've got today. We need a new breed of men. We need a new breed of Catholic men who are willing to take it really to the enemy like we have never taken to the enemy before. And we need to get ready in ways we've never gotten ready before. 170 acres out here. It's beautiful, right? Okay? I don't want to say this out loud, but I will. Put this on your map. Because if things get really, really bad. Can I say that, John? Jake, is that okay? All right. As long as you are of like mind, moral men, and you're going to bring something to the camp, guns are good. Guns, ammo, food, water, okay? We have a course. If you look at that little sheet of paper you got, you'll see the two courses. Look at the one that says Battle Ready Emergency Preparedness Course. We call it BREP for short, B-R-E-P. In that course, it's like 4 hours of video. I'm sharing this with you. If you want to go online and purchase the course, great, please do. It'll help you in many ways. It'll get you started with everything from a simple go bag, a bug out bag, which you have in your vehicle. I have a backpack I travel with, pardon me, and when I'm flying, I don't bring the firearms. Obviously, I want to do that on the plane. It doesn't go well at TSA. But I'm going to bring other items. I'm going to bring I got a water filter in there. I got some backup food. I got at least a booba kit type med kit. I got a tourniquet in there. I got some basic stuff that if I had to start walking back to Texas right now, I'd ask John or Jake if I could have a gun and some ammo, but then I'd start walking, and I got stuff to get me started. And I'm not afraid to get started. A lot of people look in their car and go, oh crap, we got a problem, and I have nothing in the car to even start with. There are people out there that don't even know how to change a flat tire. Do your family know how to change a flat tire? If they don't, teach them. If you don't, then find out. And our emergency course actually teaches that. Jumpstart a car, jumpstart a battery. A lot of people, right over the head. No clue. Figure it out. There's YouTube videos out there. It's on our BREP course that we sell, or learn from someone here. There are ways to learn these things. How about this? How about when it comes to basic self-defense of some kind? Just how to stand the right way, how to take a shot, protect your computer, protect your vitals. A lot of guys don't even know how to stand. They're standing in situations like this, which is terrible. You get shoved, you're going to fall back. Get a foot behind you. Put about 80% of the back leg, about 20 on the front, and be ready, if you get shoved, to hop back or take the shot, absorb the energy. Basic stuff. Learn it, though. And don't wait. There's anything that drives me nuts. Training takes time. If anybody's out of shape right now, and I'm not judging anybody, I'm not. I'm saying this as a brother who loves you. It takes time to get in shape. And it takes work to stay in shape. All right, great shirt of my brother Jose back there. Jose, turn around and show that shirt to everybody if you could, please. Check this out. Great shirt. Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Great online radio network. Be ready. Wait, how's that say? What's that say again? Stay ready. You have to get ready. Thank you. Tells you how much it affected me. I had a lot of it, right? I had a lot of it there. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Right? This is the sort of thing I don't understand why men have become so comfortable and soft. Spiritually speaking, the same thing. We get our kids to the sacraments, we think, okay, that's it. I'm an empty nester now. All my kids have moved out. Do I still need to pray for them? Fast for them? Offer my knee for one of them, my other knee for another, my shoulder for another? Yeah, I make sacrifices every day for my wife and my kids and my grandkids. I'm going to keep fighting the fight for my kids, spiritually speaking. Sign on the left. Everything Father Altman was talking about, boom, right there. Get spiritually prepped. And do it all the time. Until I'm dead, I'm going to be praying that rosary, moving that rosary through my fingers. I don't go anywhere without this. Heard an exorcist say this: a Catholic should never leave home without a blessed rosary on their person. Not to mention having holy water, blessed salt, brown scapular. All these things should be part of our arsenal. Some of you say, and I hear guys say this all the time, whether you're a concealed carry guy or not. I'm a concealed carry, Second Amendment guy. I love it. I think it's important, but I train constantly. I train with guys down in Tyler. We got a Secret Service guy that we train with. There's a former Ranger we train with down there. I want to train with guys. I want to learn from guys. I want to keep honing the skill. When I got my concealed carry license years ago, the guy who trained us was a 25-year Army. He was a Green Beret. And he looks at the class when we're done. He says, okay, you all now have this piece of paper. It's the equivalency of saying that you can ride a bicycle down the sidewalk with training wheels on it. All right, if this is all you do for gun training, you are not ready. He says you need to keep training. And you keep training by constantly connecting with people that are proficient in this. Don't find the cowboy on the internet who doesn't even know the 4 basic gun rules. You've got to train with the right people, but you've got to train. Physically, if you're not in shape, start working on getting in better shape. Basic things you can do. Change the diet, start working on improving the diet, and get physically active. Yeah, Doug, I'm older and I've got injuries. So do I. It doesn't stop me from training around the injury, with the injury, in moderation, so that I can still be ready. All my kids have moved out now. I have 4 sons and a daughter. All 4 of my sons, my daughter, they all work out, they exercise, they're in great shape. My son-in-law's in great shape. I mean, I like that they are, but it was really nice when I would travel, or if something happened even when I was home, my sons are there, and we could work together on it. There'd be a strange sound in the middle of the night out in the country where we lived. The dogs would bark. You know how when the dogs bark a certain way, you know it's a little freak here? And so dogs bark in a certain way. I'm up, I'm coming down the steps, and I always had to make sure that my son, one of my sons was usually already hiding in the shadows, ready to go. Zach, it's me, Dad. Okay, Dad, I'm over here. Okay, you're doing it. That's a good ninja. I didn't even know where you were, So I train my sons that way. And when we work out with them, I say, look, you're lifting weights, you're working out, that's great, but don't lift weights just so you can have a gun show and 6-pack abs. Who cares? The guns are useless if they're shooting blanks. And they're shooting blanks if you're not training to serve. So if you're into weightlifting, working out, any of you young guys here especially, get this through your head. Don't train to be vain, train to serve. Be a King David. Train in the skill so that when evil comes to your doorstep, spiritually or physically, you are ready to take it on because God has given you the skill and you've been disciplined to commit. We lack the commitment, guys. I know. Michael's talking about it. When you leave here, go home. You got to make a difference when you go home. Father Altman talked about it. You leave here, go home, make a difference. I'm going to say the same thing. Father Altman covered the spiritual. Michael covers so well what's going on in the church and how we've really got to engage with our priests and our bishops and so forth. We've got to engage. But we also have to engage physically. If you don't got preparation at home, 5 main things we talk about in that course that we sell: food, water, medical, defense, and shelter. Have those 5 things covered. If your home gets compromised, where do you go? Where do you bug out to? If you're in your home, what do you have provisions in the home to make sure that you can handle a certain amount of time while you're there? But the last thing that we really want to emphasize, it's in the course too. It's not one of our, it falls under the 5, but its main thing is this: community. You know what I really want, guys, and I long for this, and I've given this type of talk for years all over the country. I long to be in a world where if your family ever ends up in my care, I will pray for them. I will do what I can spiritually to protect them. I will do what I can to make sure they have a priest with them somehow to get them sacraments. I will do that. If they physically need help, I will fight for them and I will defend them. And I want to know you'll do the same if my family ends up in your care. And if we have that kind of Catholic manhood and brotherhood, imagine what kind of an army we'd be. But we've got to train it up that way. And it's not just the physical. I know there are guys out there doing great work physically, ex-military guys, law enforcement guys, even just good old Americans who have not been in military law enforcement, but they're committed and they train. That's great. But without the moral fiber, sign on the left, the spiritual part, we will fall short every time. Battle of Lepanto, 1571. Famous naval battle, right? We know about it, right? Do you realize that it was outlawed? They couldn't blaspheme God in those ships. They had to pray the Rosary every day. This was the code of conduct they had to have and more. How about Joan of Arc going through the troops, telling the troops, okay, no foul language, no this, really raising the bar for those soldiers. God will give us the victory when the men fight, she told the bishops when they asked her, why do the men have to fight? Why can't God just do it? Because God's in control, right? God's in charge. Why do we have to do anything? Why can't we just kick back, put our feet up, tell Alexa to fight the battle for us? Because that's what we're doing, guys. And God says, no, you got to take part in this. You got to take part in your own salvation, but we got to take part in the protection and defense as well. So if someone kicks in the door, I can't say, please, Lord, stop us from the enemy who's coming at us. I could do that, and I will do that. Actually, my wife will be doing that as she calls 911, as I go through the wall to get this guy. And that's what I tell my sons all the time, and the guys that I train with. I say, guys, look, have that attitude inside. King David DNA. I'm going through a wall if I have to save this person. I got a terrible story. It's humiliating. I've never told it publicly, but I'll tell it to you now. I was in the U.S. Coast Guard. Oh, no. That's not the... No, you're laughing because it's the Coast Guard. No, that's not what I meant by humiliating. I'm not busting on the Coast Guard. Let me finish the sentence. I was in the U.S. Coast Guard for 3 weeks. Yeah, that's what's funny. Look, I wanted to save people. I was a young guy. I was 22, I think, when I went in. I want to jump out of the helicopter. Aviation survival man, rescue swimmer. I want to be the guy, middle of the hurricane, helicopter, choppers being blown all over, someone's drowning. I want to go into the hardest, roughest waters and save someone's life. I wanted to do that. I felt God wanted me to do that. Jump in, save their life, hook them up to the harness, get them up at it, pull them on out. I wanted to do that. I got in there, and after 2 weeks, I started getting really tense. I love the brotherhood and the teamwork. I love it. I love the discipline. I didn't have any problem with any of that. What I had a problem with was standing heel to toe with everybody. Because you're staring at the back of the guy's head and your racks are like this, so you sit up, you hit your head, because they're getting you ready to be on a Coast Guard cutter out in the ocean. And after couple weeks of this, I'm getting very tense. They pull me out. Barry, what's the matter with you? Sir, I don't know, sir. They send me to the medical bay. 2 days, I'm in there, and they say, yeah, we know what it is. Basically, we call it life circumstance problem. I'm sorry, Captain, what does that mean? It's kind of like a bizarre case of claustrophobia. So what's this mean? Oh, you picked the wrong branch. Okay, so I was discharged. I went home. After a week of being in the medical bay, I'm watching Coast Guard cutters go in and out of that bay from that 3rd floor hospital window, praying 3 rosaries a day. Lord, I thought you wanted me to do this. I was so sure you wanted me to get in there and engage in the fight and save lives. And I get on that plane and I fly home. I didn't tell anybody back in town that I was coming back until I got on the plane, before I got on the plane to leave the airport in Cape May, New Jersey. And I called my then girlfriend, now wife of 31 years, and I said, Denise, I'm coming home. What happened? They're kicking me out. Why? And I started to cry on the phone. I've never said this publicly. Are you recording this, Adam? What is? The reason I tell you this is this. Purpose. We're made by God for a purpose. And it's a purpose that's David standing in front of a Goliath, or jumping out of a helicopter to save someone's life, or storming a beach in Normandy. Some purpose that God wants us to see as confronting evil in whatever way it comes to our doorstep, in whatever time we're in whatever capacity, gifts, talents, circumstances we are in, but to confront evil. We are built by God with the King David DNA to confront evil. That's our purpose. But we have a job to do, to be men who are physically and spiritually prepared to do it. Let's get ourselves in shape spiritually. Get in the state of grace if we're not, and stay in that state of grace. You still got priests around the grounds here. Take advantage of this opportunity. Get in that habit. If you got to drive, as Michael was saying, hey, why don't we drive a little bit extra distance to get to the right Mass or get to the sacrament of confession? What's our excuse for not doing this? We're too comfortable. And when we get comfortable, we get soft. We get soft, we get weak. We get weak, we can't fight. And if we can't fight, we will die. David was not comfortable taking care of his flocks. And when they would attack, he engaged. And I wonder, there was nobody there to even say, way to go, David. He was alone. He's out there watching the flocks, and he's taking care of them. He's saving their lives. He's doing his job. And then it got elevated to another time, because when God says, now. And I think that's coming for all of us. As it has Father Altman. Father Altman, I know Father Altman. He's a friend. I've known him before all this notoriety hit him. He'll tell you, he didn't ask for any of this. Right? I mean, this is the sort of thing you see. All of a sudden God says, boom, and everything changes. But even if that doesn't happen, your wife and your children, your grandchildren, you are still the superhero of their lives. And I'll wrap this up with a couple of last thoughts here. Gentlemen, that sheet of paper you've got that has the Battle Ready Emergency Training or Preparedness course on it, it's a one-time purchase. Yeah, I'm selling here because, number one, it helps our ministry. Most importantly, I think it's stuff that can help you. Get you a go bag to get started, eventually teach you how to get 3 weeks worth of food and water, then 3 months worth of food and water, preparedness, guns, ammo, self-defense, building community. My hope and prayer is that you all go home to whatever part of the country you've come from an event such as this, out here, hidden off the grid in Wisconsin. I don't even think the state knows this place exists. It's hidden. My hope is that you go home after this and you say, we're forming teams. We're getting church security guys together. If you're law enforcement, military guys, you've got skills, you've got training. Some of you train better than others depending upon your job that you have or had in the military and law enforcement. Use your skills, bring guys together, start training one another in these different areas, but make sure that the spiritual component is the root and the fiber and the thread that runs through it all. If that part isn't there, then it's all going to fall short. And in the face of what we're fighting right now, because there's so much diabolical, obvious evidence to what's going on right now, within the church and within our society, our government, the whole 9 yards, we have to be men of faith. Deep, strong faith. And it only happens when we commit to take the steps to get uncomfortable, pray like crazy. Don't ever miss a day where you're at the Rosary. Right? I encourage the Auxilium Christianorum prayers as well. If you're not familiar with those, they're spiritual warfare prayers. Auxilium Christianorum, look them up. Great spiritual warfare prayers, fasting, mortification, but physical training as well. Remember this, gentlemen. We all dream, and this will be my last thought, and then we'll wrap it up. Check out the two things we have on the sheet of paper. That there's more information on the website for those: the monthly training thing or the one-time course. And our Battle Ready Coalition Productions film company that we just started, we're working on a documentary called "Doomed to Repeat It." And "Doomed to Repeat It" is a documentary that actually gets after what it is that turns a society from being reasonably normal and healthy and reduces them to 70 pounds and marched into gas chambers. This is the sort of thing that's been happening for years and generations in societies all over the place. And the warnings of our Blessed Mother have been obvious as a heart attack. Akita, Japan, 1973, the weeping statue of Our Lady. Does anybody know about Akita, Japan? Raise your hand if you're familiar with it. All right, do you know that October 6, 2019, Sister Agnes Sasagawa received another message from an angel, allegedly? And that message says, put on ash and pray a rosary of repentance. Do you also know that was the first day of the Pachamama Synod? Yes. Do we also know that's also the time that this stuff started coming out of Wuhan? All right, what we are seeing now is not coincidence, I don't think. So where do we think this is going to go? Right now, the G7 is meeting. You all familiar with the G7? Do you realize what Boris Johnson said yesterday? We need to build back better, he said, which is a great reset phrase. Build back better, build back fairer, more green, and gender neutral. You cannot get more diabolical than when one of the top leaders, one of the top nations, publicly states we need to build back better and be gender neutral worldwide. Gentlemen, we're in the thick of a fight. We can't take it lightly. Don't watch a Rambo movie and think, I could do that. Train yourself to be able to do that. Fix your diet, exercise, work out, train with guys who know how to fight, learn how to do it the right way, build community, get yourself prepared and all ready to go. Because what we're seeing right now, most likely, is only going to ramp up. And if anybody doesn't see that, look, you think they're just going to change their mind and say, vaccination passport, we're done with that idea. We got some decisions to make, guys. And they're not comfortable ones. But we got to be men that are strong enough to do that. Everybody quotes Braveheart, the freedom speech, and I'll stop with this. Freedom speech, what's he say? What will you do without freedom? Right? Right? And they all go, we'll run and we'll hide and we'll live. Yeah, dying in your beds many years from now. You know the speech, right? The one I like is this. There's a scene in the movie later on when one of his right-hand men comes up and says, the Highlanders. No, he says, the nobles, they won't commit, they won't engage. But the Highlanders, they're coming down from the mountains and the hills in the hundreds and the thousands. And Wallace turns and he yells, are you ready for a war? And they scream, yes. The spiritual war is already on, guys. Does anybody really think the physical is not following? The prophecy of Akita, Japan, was that fire would fall from the sky and a multitude of the world would be annihilated. Prophecy also said that bishops opposed bishops, cardinals opposed cardinals. That's all happening. Are we ready for the second part of it then? So, gentlemen, nothing to be afraid of because we're men. And men do what King David did. They look at evil and they say, I don't think so. Because this is God bringing the strength, bringing the gift, bringing the power. We have to cooperate with it. So let's gear up, let's man up, let's train up, and let's be ready for the fight. Body, mind, and soul. God bless you all. Thank you very much for your time.